All right. Yesterday we saw the inverting Schmidt trigger and why in the first place a Schmidt trigger is preferred instead of the basic comparator. Okay. So we saw that because of the use of the Schmidt trigger, we were able to impart some kind of noise immunity to our basic comparator. All right. So as I said, the UTP is decided by the upper trip point is decided by plus VSAT into R2 by R1 plus R2, and VLTP is decided by minus VSAT R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Now you can see here that it is symmetrical. It means that VUTP is equal to numerically equal to VLTP. Okay, and the transfer function is something like this. Now this is very, very important for you to understand. What is a transfer function? It is a plot of output voltage versus input voltage. So on the x-axis you have the input voltage, on the y-axis you have this output voltage here like this. Okay, and you can see here that we have this peculiar shape of the transfer characteristics. Let us try to understand this. It simply means that when Vi, okay, when Vi is less than VUTP, in that case output is equal to plus VSAT. Remember that we are talking about an inverting Schmidt trigger, and as soon as it crosses that threshold, output voltage changes to minus VSAT. Okay, but when the input voltage goes only when it goes below LTP, then only it will switch back to plus VSAT. Okay, so what you have essentially here is this band called as the hysteresis. So this is defined as the hysteresis of the Schmidt trigger. In fact, this is the width which actually imparts the noise immunity. So this is called as the hysteresis, and it is simply given by VHY is given as VLTP, VUTP minus modulus of VLTP. Sorry, the other way around. Or you can say, let us take down this modulus sign so that it will be easier for us to understand. So this will be VUTP minus VLTP, or it would have been VUTP plus modulus of VLTP, like this. Okay, so if we are talking about this, yesterday we have solved a problem wherein what was the VLTP and VUTP? Yes.
Sir, 2 volts and plus 2 and minus 2 volts.
Yes. So in that case, V hysteresis would be what? How much? 4 volts.
4 volts.
Okay. So this is how the hysteresis is defined. Okay. But now many times we require that. Now these are symmetrical points. Okay. We may require some kind of adjustability over there, or you must be in a position to adjust the trip points. They are also called as a trigger point sometimes. Okay. So a modified circuit adjustment of trip points. We are just going to make a small change to our circuit. It goes like this. What we are going to do is we are going to introduce 2 diodes like this. That's all. This connection goes here. So we have now, this is R1, this is R2 as usual, this is R3, all this has D1 and D2. So with the help of this, we can have different values of R1 and R3, and in turn we can have different values of trip points. So this diode will be on only when this voltage, let us say when this is plus VSAT. Yes?
So can you share the screen again, sir? It's not visible.
Is this the case with all?
Yes, sir, the
Yes,
screen
sir.
is frozen.
I think it is
You're not able to see the
There
screen?
is
No, sir, the screen is frozen.
Okay, I'll share it once
screen
again.
is visible but frozen.
so
Okay, it
now
seems to have frozen, right? Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
All right. So as I was saying, this when this is plus VSAT, only when this diode will be on, will be forward biased, and this portion R1 and R2 will come into picture. Okay, and this R3 will be out of picture because D2 will be reverse biased. So we will have a trip point corresponding to, let us say, V UTP will be what? VSAT into R1 by R2 by R1 plus R2, whereas VLTP will be minus VSAT into, yes, R2 divided by R2 plus R3. So with that, we will be in a position to set VUTP and VLTP as a separate value. So it need not be asymmetric.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So, whatever you are writing, we are not able to see it because the circuit which you have made, only that is visible to us, nothing else.
How is it? I mean, why it is happening like that?
So maybe it is working very slow. Above also it was happening the same case when you were telling about that hysteresis.
I don't think there is any problem with the net here. Let me reshare it. Okay. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir. Now whatever you have written, you can see everything. Before it was not visible.
Okay. So as I was saying, this VUTP will be decided by. Now, do you see the double underline that I've done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it seems to be live again. All right. So we are going to set different values of VUTP and VLTP. Okay. Let us see a simple design for this. But have you understood the functioning of this? These diodes. D2 will be active
Yes,
only
sir.
when we have minus VSAT. At that point, D1 will be off. Okay, let us see the design. So the design says that using 741 op amp with plus minus 18 volt supply, design and inverting Schmitt trigger circuit to have VUTP as plus 1.5 volts and VLTP as minus 3 volts. So here we are having asymmetrical trip points. So how do you solve this? Same circuit that we are going to refer to. For adequate diode current. Now here I2 will be very important. Okay, we already know this current flowing here is I2. Okay, and since this IB is very small or negligible, or for practical purposes we are going to call it as 0. So this I2 is going to flow through R1 and R3 as well, and of course to the diodes. Now we all of us know that the diode has to be, for the diode to turn on, we have to have some significant current flowing through it. Okay, if you refer to the diode characteristics, things will be clear. So we must make sure that we have adequate diode current. So I2 has to be selected judiciously. So I2 minimum we are selecting as 500 microamperes. Please remember earlier we used to select IB or rather I2 or whatever current as greater than rather or equal to 50 times, sorry, 100 times IB. Most of the times IB was 500 nanoamperes for 741, so this used to come as 50 microamperes. But here the special requirement is that we should have adequate diode current. 50 microamperes would be too less, so we will select 500 microamperes for.
Sir, again the screen is frozen.
Again,
Sir, it is coming very, very slowly. Now it has come.
Sir, it is happening like you are writing the whole complete one statement and our screen is frozen at that time. Like for example, when you were
Comes out.
writing the question,
Sir,
sir,
there is a
with
lag of
that
at least a minute.
visible, and then when you completed whole question again, it was visible like this.
let me see whether I'm having the correct bandwidth available with me. Check the speed. Otherwise, I will restart the modem. Just give me 2 minutes. No, I don't have any problem with the speed. Guys,
Yes, sir.
okay. Let us continue. Let me see.
sir.
So we have selected I2 as 500 microamperes to make sure that the diode really turns on. Sufficient current is flowing through the diode then. So for is it visible now? Guys? Hello?
Sir, what have you written after that?
Okay.
I2 main equal to 500 microampere.
Okay, so then R2 happens to be your V or UTP divided by I2, that is 1.5 volts divided by 500 microampere.
Sir, what you are saying right now, and if you are writing, that is not visible to us. Maybe after few minutes, it will be visible. It
There
is
is a
working
lag.
like
It seems there is a lag here.
yes, sir.
Okay, how do I solve this problem now? Okay, let me
Sir,
restart the
see
modem.
now like that line is visible for UTP is equals to 1.5 volts.
Yes, sir.
I will do is I will restart the modem now. Then we'll lose about 5 minutes. So please stay.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Now let us see whether this works. Do you see the cursor moving? Do you see the cursor moving?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. 1.5 volts. Are you able to see the OneNote page?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Up to
Yes,
that
sir.
point. So 1.5 volts divided by 500 microamperes turns out to be 3 kilo ohms. Was it visible?
Three kilo ohms is not visible.
Not yet. This is strange. We never had a problem like this.
Now is it visible?
Now it is visible. But
Yes,
again,
sir.
it is going to have a
Yes.
lag, right? Okay. So now we'll recalculate. What we will do is 3 kilo ohms is not a standard value. So we'll use 2.7 kilo ohms as which is a standard value and recalculate I2. Okay. This is dR2 again divided by R2, which is 1.5 volts divided by 2.7 K. That gives me about 556 microamperes. That is fine enough. Okay. Now we can calculate the value of R1 as VO sat minus the forward voltage drop of the diode minus UTP divided by I2. This gives me 18. So what is VO sat now? What will be VO sat or VSAT is 90% of VCC, right?
VCC. Yes, sir.
So if my VCC is 18, 90% of that is what? Come on. Calculate it fast. Now many times, instead of having calculations like this, it is also sometimes assumed that VSAT is VCC minus 1 volt. This is one assumption which is followed in David Bell. So you have two choices, 90% of VCC or VCC minus 1 volt. Okay, that is what is the value of VSAT. So here I'll simplify it, VCC minus 1. So 18 minus 1 minus your UTP. What is that UTP? 1.5 divided by I2. So R1 turns out to be, anyone? Okay, we forgot this 0.7 volt drop also. Please add that. So anyone? So I don't want to waste time here. Turns out to be 26.6 kilo ohms. You can use 27 kilo ohms as standard value. Okay, this is for R1. Now for LTP as minus 3 volts. Again we have I2 which is LTP by R2 which is 3 volts divided by R2, that is 2.7 kilo ohms, gives me 1.11 milliampere. Okay, so then R3 is VR3 by I2. But what is VR3? Voltage across R3 What is voltage across R3? This voltage. This is VR3. So again it is VO sat minus VF minus your LTP divided by I2. This turns out to be 18 minus 1 minus 0.7 minus 3, which is divided by 1.11 milliampere. That turns out to be 12 kilo ohms. So you have found out R1, R2 and R3. This is the procedure for designing the Schmitt trigger with different values of trip points. Clear? Simple
Yes.
procedure. It is very simple. So next let us go on to see the non-inverting Schmitt trigger. Okay. So far we were looking at the inverting Schmitt trigger. Is there any more lag now, guys?
Yes, sir. Still it is lagging.
Yes, sir.
By a lot? Or is
Yes.
it acceptable?
Yes, sir.
So it is confusing.
Yes, sir. So we are not able even note down. Are you saying that?
Okay, one more choice now that is left to me is to switch to some other Wi-Fi. Let me see if I can do that. Just hold on for some time again. Hello, guys.
Yes, sir.
So
Sir.
let me see. I have switched off all the active phones, those who are using Wi-Fi in my house. So let me see if that improves the situation. Okay. I'm drawing the circuit diagram of the non-inverting Schmitt trigger. So again, this is R2, this is R1, this is where you apply the input, and this is the output. Is it okay now?
No, sir, we cannot see this.
You're not able to
Sir,
see
we can
the
see only that heading
Sorry?
being written. So only that heading we can see non-inverting Schmitt trigger, nothing else.
It is same as before.
Sir, now the circuit is visible.
I don't know what is going on.
Sir, it's okay. We can understand like this. We can continue.
All right. So
Yes, sir.
here in this case, if I draw the circuit diagram, so the output waveforms again for this, how will it look like? Let us see that. So for this particular circuit, we have this as the ground. This is the UTP. This is LTP. Again, the input waveform is like this. So these are the points of concern. And correspondingly, this will be the output of the circuit. So this is plus Vsat. This value is minus Vsat. So now, do you see the distinct difference here? Guys, are the waveforms visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
So what is the difference here than the other one? The last one which we have seen, what is the difference? You can see here that as soon as this Vi, so this is your Vi,
Yes, sir.
goes above this UTP, the output of Schmidt trigger goes to positive Vsat.
Positive Vsat.
Okay, and as soon as it goes below LTP, it goes back to minus Vsat, stays there for the duration until again that Vi crosses this VUTP. Earlier it was the reverse, isn't it?
Yes.
And that is the reason why we are calling this as a non-inverting Schmidt trigger.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us see an example to design this. Again, using 741 design non-inverting Schmidt trigger. To have the trip points as plus minus, so trip points or trigger points as plus minus 0.5 volts. And VCC equal to plus 15 volts obviously VEE also is equal to minus 15 volts. So how do you do this? Again, we have to select I2. So what is this I2? This value is current. Of course, the current will be flowing in both the directions. So select I2 as here it is 50 microamperes is fine. Why? Because it is, so I2 is greater than or equal to 100 times IB max. Again, IB max being 500 nanoamperes, I2 is 50 microampere. Here in this case, R1 is given as simply the UTP divided by I2, which is 0.5 volts divided by 50 microamperes. That gives me 10 kilo ohms. The
10
standard
kilo
value,
ohms.
so no problem with that. What about R2? R2 is output voltage by I2. Output is what? VSAT. Okay, and we have said that this is VCC minus 1 by I2 following the other convention. So this is 14 by 14 volts by 50 microamperes. This gives me 280 kilo ohms. Use a standard
Yes, sir.
value of 270 kilo ohms plus a combination 10 kilo ohms. Now you need not worry about this for the time being. We are interested only in this part. This design will come later on. So this is a very simple design. All right. Yes. Have you understood it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope the problem of lagging is now a little bit less.
Yes, sir. We are able to understand.
Okay. Now again, we can have adjustable trip points. Just a small modification. Again, using diodes, obviously, we can do that. So you have R1, this is your VI, this is R2, R3, D1 and D2. So this will give us different paths, okay, and so we'll get different values of LTP and UTP. Similar way to that of the inverting Schmitt trigger. So let us see an design example here. So we want UTP as 4 volts and LTP as minus 2.5 volts. We are using 741 and supply is 20 volts. It is assumed that the negative supply VEE is symmetrical minus 20 volts. Okay, so how do you start? This is the current I1. So select I1. Again, 100 times IB max. That gives me 50 microamperes. For LTP as minus 2.5 volts, R1 is given as LTP by I1. That gives me 2.5 volts divided by 50 microamperes equal to 50 kilo ohms. So I got R1 directly. Now if I'm going to use the standard value, which is 47 kilo ohms, I'm supposed to recalculate the value of I1. So recalculating I1 as 2.5 volts divided by 47 kilo ohms to give me 53.2 microamperes.
Yes, sir.
Then R3 can be found out as VO sat, that is the output voltage saturated, minus the diode voltage divided by I1. So again, following the same convention, of course, please note that we are assuming silicon diode. So VF is going to be 0.7, 53.2 microamperes. This gives me 344 kilo ohms. Here you can use a combination of 330 kilo ohms standard value and 15 kilo ohms. For LTP, for UTP as 4 volts, again I1 is UTP by R1, so that is 4 volts divided by 47 kilo ohms gives me 85.1 microamperes. So calculating R2 again as VO sat minus VF by I1, that gives me 20 volts minus 1 volt minus 0.7 volt divided by 85.1 microamperes. This should give me 215 kilo ohms. Use
215, yes, sir.
180 kilo ohms plus 33 kilo ohms. So that finishes the design. Okay? So I've given you two different ways in which you can implement the Schmitt trigger, inverting and the non-inverting. At the same time, we've also seen how to adjust the trip points. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the remaining thing that we are going to do today is what is called as the window detector. So it is just an extension of our Schmitt triggers and the comparators that we are going to see. Okay. So just a moment. Okay. Just going to be a combination of different two comparators. That's all. What we are supposed to do is we are supposed to have an indication whenever the voltage falls between a particular range, okay, or window. So I'll just draw the circuit diagram. Just a minute. Now, before that, I would like to tell you one very important thing, and that is there is one specifically designed operational amplifier used for comparator purposes. Okay, and that is actually called as the IC voltage comparator. Okay, and that IC is LM311. Of course, you can make use of 741, but these things are already 741. I mean 311. These are specifically designed as comparators because they have faster response time. Okay, so they're designed to have a faster response time so that the switching is faster. Okay, so these are the comparators, the specific devices, and using these comparators we can have a window detector. So that is what I'm going to use here. This is 311. Of course, you can design the same thing with 741 also. No big issue with that. So we have two such comparators. We have an LED here. Please look at it very carefully. And we have a Zener diode here. Of course, don't forget that we are having the VCC or some input voltage, whatever input voltage that you want. Okay, this is R1, this is R2, this is R3, R4. Call this as A1, A2. Call this as RS or R5 to be more precise. This is the LED. Can you see how it works? Let us break this down into two parts. Okay. A1 is one comparator. What is it doing? Which type of comparison it is doing? It is comparing this value. It is comparing this value to this value, whatever is the input voltage range. So this is the input voltage range, not actually VCC. It is your Vin, whose range you want to find out. So what is the basic objective of this particular circuit? Is it should give an indication when specifically voltage Vin is between some certain limits. For example, VL less than Vin less than VH. VL is some lower limit, VH is some higher limit, and Vin is your input voltage. So this should give indication when V in is within these two limits. Okay, this is the window. Okay, so let us see how this works. So what you're doing is you're comparing it with the set values. Basically, this is the reference value, Vz. Okay, and you're having these values corresponding to this R2, R3, R4 is a potential divider. Okay, you design this potential divider in such a way so as to have this point as VH and this point or this voltage as VL. That's all. Now, if let us see how this works. If your input voltage is less than V in, Vz. If it is less than Vz, what is going to happen? Guys, are you there with me?
Yes, sir.
So what is going to happen? What is going to happen if V in is such that this value is less than Vz? Guys, please respond. Guys, please respond.
Yes, sir.
See, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make sure this Vz is going to be constant because of this Zener diode, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a fixed reference. For both the comparators, we have a fixed reference. But here the voltage that is derived here is such that whenever this voltage VH is, let us say, greater than Vz, VH is greater than Vz, in that case, what will happen to comparator 1? A1, what will be the output of A1? It is, so inverting is higher, non-inverting is higher, so output will be Vsat plus Vsat.
Plus Vsat.
Okay, so Vout will be plus Vsat.
Plus Vsat.
Okay.
Yes,
if
sir.
VH, if V in, or let us say VH, we are adjusting this in such a way. Now, if that voltage V in happens to be falling above this particular Vz, in that case, this is going to light up. This LED is going to light up because it's going to get the Vsat value at the anode.
Vsat.
If it goes below VL, so what is going to happen? Below VL means what? Means what? This A2,
Oh.
so this is less than Vz. It means that A2 is taking it output to minus Vsat. Minus Vsat will mean that this LED is on, whereas here it is LED is off. So whenever the voltage is between the range VH and VL, this LED is going to stay on. Okay, this is how this particular window detector will function. Okay?
Sir, please can you explain it once more, because you were writing and then again opening the circuit, sir. It
Okay.
was getting so confusing.
Okay.
So once more.
Okay. So a window detector, essentially what does it do? It produces an indication to show that some monitored voltage let us say this is the monitoring voltage. We want to monitor this voltage Vn. Okay, is between some predetermined limits. That is the windows. It is in between the window, within a window. Specifically, such a kind of circuit is used to monitor the battery level.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
So that one case which we were explaining, a VH greater than VZ, or
yeah, one second. Now, what we want here is that since I'll start this again so that okay. These comparators, these two comparators are actually connected in parallel. You can see here, and
yes, sir.
it's connected in parallel with LED. Now, if either A1 or A2 output is low, the drop across LED will be small and LED will be off. So, in any case, if this is low, this is also low, or any one of them is low, in that case, the LED will be off. Understand
Off.
this first.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So both the comparators will have to be high, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Both comparators need to be high.
Hi.
Or output as high, and then only it will turn on the LED.
LED. Yes, sir.
This will happen only when, now let us say these two conditions VL and VH. So this will happen only when Vin is greater than VL,
And
or
less than
Vin, yes, is less than
VH. Yes, sir. Got it now.
ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
So if you analyze this circuit, you will see that this will happen. This will actually work as a window detector. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Have you understood it now?
Yes, sir.
And I think that is, as far as the unit number 3 is concerned, there is only one part which is remaining, and that is the sample and hold circuit. Okay, which we will discuss later on in the, because there is something which has to be taught before sample and hold, which is called as a peak detector. Okay, there is some
Okay,
kind
sir.
of discontinuity in your syllabus, so I'll be keeping that particular unit, that particular part, that particular topic at the last. Okay, after we
For
do
till
that
now.
particular topic.
The CUTs,
So
till
I
here
think
only
yes,
happened.
we have already finished the syllabus for unit number 3 up to unit number 3 as well,
Okay, sir.
which should cover your unit test.
Yes, sir.
I'm just checking whether we are left out with anything. So no, we have done with everything that is mentioned in unit number 3, except for sample and hold circuit, which we will discuss later on. Okay?
Okay,
So
sir.
I think we have finished unit number 3 as well. So as promised, I finished with the syllabus before the unit test. All right. Doesn't mean that
Yes,
we
sir.
won't be having a lecture tomorrow. We will be starting with unit number 4, and that is the active filters and waveform generators. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because tomorrow is going to be a 2-hour session, so I'll try to cover as much as possible from unit number 4 as well. But as far as unit test 1 is concerned, we have already finished with the syllabus for unit test 1.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So I think I'll stop here for today.
Sir, like last time also in the